Hi there, it's Paulie here with Mr. Snoots. Mr. Snoots. Yes, we're just doing a little tea talk because edition bashing. Edition bashing. Yeah, I had more people on the channel talking about editions, and I don't like this and I don't like that. Okay, so I've touched on it as I went over things like the different editions of Dungeons and Dragons. Each edition that came out really was its own game, attempting its own aims and goals. You will find this with many different games. Like there have been different editions of things like, say, RuneQuest. Some of these were just done by different publishers, but if you look at something like RuneQuest first and second edition, which are really just first and second, really just printings of the same rules, there's a massive gulf between that and, say, the new edition of RuneQuest, which is trying to achieve a very different thing story-wise. I would say original RuneQuest was, in many ways, a fairly whimsical adventure setting. It was kind of light-hearted and it was kind of bashy. It built a very deeply nuanced world and was having fun with it. The new version has come after decades of the original creator sort of just belovedly labouring on making this world more and more intense, but as he did so he seemed to want a more serious world, so a lot of the kind of tongue-in-cheek frivolity disappeared from the new version, but things like, you know, the religion and politics and so on of the current version are drivers of the action. All right, so, you know, and we have a game system that is designed for that more serious and passionate action that goes with that sort of thing. It's different aims and goals. Which one do you prefer? And here's where we come to edition bashing. You'll get a lot of people who seem very invested in one edition rather than another, and it does always come down to just play the game you want. Which is true. So I guess, why are people so invested in their particular edition? Well, in some cases, obviously, there's nostalgia. You remember those great games. This was your thing. This was where so much joy and light came in your younger years. And so you wish to recapture that. And that is a very pure and noble thing to do. However, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't enjoy the new versions if you gave them a try, and you might find that they're not to your taste for different reasons, because, you know, they are all trying to achieve different things and you might just prefer it. But it is interesting to see the amount of emotional investment that people put into edition bashing. Now, I have to say, I've played every version of, say, Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, and each one has its own strengths and its own weaknesses, and I enjoy them all in different ways. I'm not a huge fan of 5th edition, mostly because I sort of feel that the play technique that goes with it tends to... It's so focused on being a board war game that it loses the freedom of action that comes with something that is kept way more theatre of the mind. However, a lot of that comes down to umpiring style. You can play D&D without a board or anything like that. You can do it. Just people choose not to. But as for the rules themselves, it's like, yeah, you know, I can take them or leave them. I'm not invested. I was trying to figure out why I was seeing so much passion about the edition bashing, and unfortunately, when I look at the core of a lot of the edition bashing, it often isn't that someone likes or dislikes the mechanics of the game, the actual rules system and the design. If you were to look at the actual design mechanics, for instance, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is very, very easy and very, very streamlined. It's very clearly written and clearly expressed, which is why young players can access it. It's got a very crisp logic to its design. It's wrapped around with an awful lot of sort of additional material. Like there's so many classes and subclasses out there and various supplemental bits, but you can take them or leave them. The actual rules are the core books, and, you know, those core books are actually pretty simple to comprehend. So why would someone be so passionate about it just because it isn't their thing? Well, unfortunately, if you look at the language, it's usually boiling down to who's playing it, not what they are playing. I'm seeing a lot of essentially grognard bullshit. Now, for those who aren't aware, so Napoleonic wargamers will know the term grognard. Grognard is French for grumbler. Napoleon's grenadiers, particularly grenadiers, but grenadiers and chasseurs of the Old Guard were called les grognards, the grumblers, because they were recruited entirely from old veterans, and they were loyal, trusty, loyal, true blue. But yeah, they were renowned for kind of grousing and grumbling. Here we go again. Like, oh, my bloody feet are killing me. We've had to march how far? Yeah, and we're in the middle of bloody Russia again. This has been sort of adopted as the title for older gamers who want to grumble about how good it was in the old days compared to all this crap that everyone plays today. It was initially done kind of fun and in jest. People were actually describing themselves rather joyously as grognards. It was like, we're the old guard, we're the old veterans, always grumbling. And it was quite light-hearted. However, there's a tinge of the unpleasant to it now because the grognards, many of them ain't funny anymore. Because the grumbling has been very heavily focused as an attack against younger players. Big part of that you'll see coming through in a lot of the posts and so you get on social media, essentially that the young folk have got it wrong. They're playing the game wrong. They're doing it wrong. This isn't how it's supposed to be. And look, that's just... You'd think some of it's just old, let's face it, old guys not understanding young people and their sensibilities. However, there's a lot of bigotry tied up with it because it's not often so much that they're young, it's who they are while being young. So as you dig in, you'll see a lot of it is the fact that these kids have attitudes that bigoted older gamers were allowed to get away with back in the day, and they'll be pulled up on it by younger gamers now. You can't be homophobic because it's likely that in a group of younger players, many of them will be queer. You can't be racist because it's a more racially diverse audience in the younger gamers coming in. All those sort of things that they could just say and get away with, now suddenly they can't. And this is I find this is kind of, if you really dig in, where a lot of it's coming from. Essentially, not that the game they're playing is wrong, the wrong kind of people are being allowed to play the game. Sad, but true. I really do find a lot of this is at its core, which is why you can ignore a lot of the grognard thing. It's basically, I just want women to make me a sandwich, and I just don't want to look along the length of the table and see there's people there who are like gay or not white. Look, I'm aware that some people can feel somehow that the world has passed them by, but it's kind of the glory of the world, isn't it? You can never cross the same stream twice. But that's not a sad thing as you watch the world growing and changing. And like I've said in other videos, nuance makes the world better. Diversity makes the world richer. So, look, I've been there, okay? Look, I was playing in the 70s. I miss that old crew I was playing with, I think my old friend Tim is out there in the audience. Tim, I think it's probably... Oh, and probably Rory. It's down to us three, mate, from all those people. Richmond Wargames Club, my original Wargames Club. 2 of us left. The rest are dead, basically. We're it. And that's sad. That's sad to think of. And I miss those days. I miss those guys. But those days and those guys, they're here forever. I don't have to relive them. I can enjoy the games I'm having now. I'm meeting new people. There's games clubs here where I'm meeting old, not my old, but, still old grumbly gamers. And kind of, what would you call them? Testosteroned up crazy combat guys, and the table comedians and cool goth girls with a bag of 500 different amazing custom dice, and quite intense young university students who have just 3D printed their own amazing dice towers, and an amazing array of people. And these games that I'm playing with them now are different from those old ones, but they've got their own charm and their own fun and their own hilarity. And those are the new stories and the new anecdotes and the new laughter that I'll be carrying with me. So I haven't lost anything by engaging in new gameplay with new people and having a more diverse table. So, edition bashing, yeah, there are the games that we prefer, and that's fine, but the real double down bashers who start saying that these people are getting this wrong, yeah, I think you guys need to basically try letting that go, because you're going to tarnish the games you did have by cutting yourself away from the games that you can have. If you put those old games into a citadel that nothing ever penetrates, I think you might find that the laughter and the good times have trouble escaping the citadel. You need to be more open to experience. Let us put it that way. You may not like playing like 5th edition D&D with people. No one says that you have to. Take some people and introduce them to the games you like. But they're not, those other people aren't wrong for liking the editions they like. It's just that that's giving them a game that they like. Anyway, enough yattering on. I shall see you guys later on. Cheers.